All right, chat. All right. We're gonna go over Corrin's changes and 3.0. Since I did play Corrin a bit in Smash 4 prior to Ultimate's release, people have wanted me to talk about the changes, so we're gonna go over them all, and I'm also gonna talk about the changes I personally would like to see to the character in the future. So yeah, we're gonna go over all the changes. The first one is Corrin's neutral B. This projectile travels slightly further now than it did before. So, which means that if it barely hits now, it would have not been hitting in the past. So, not a super significant buff by any means, but I guess we'll take it. But yeah, nothing major at all. Nothing major at all on that one. Next one is up B. The invincibility on this up B, if I remember correctly, starts on frame 7 now, while it was frame 9 before. So since Corrin have a relatively weak recovery, like you're not the fastest character in the air, and the up B reaches like, it's not too bad, but it's not like super long, you know. The recovery is one of the weaker points of this character, because many characters are incredibly hard to edgeguard, but Corrin can legit get gimped. So I think that's probably one of the bigger changes for a character, that you get the invincibility earlier. Makes it harder to actually hit her. It's still, the recovery is still a weakness of the character, but it's slightly less. Slightly less for the character. Then, oh yeah, the up B as well. If you do hit someone with Corrin's up B, all right, yeah, there we go. If you do hit someone with this up B, they go slightly further away. Than before. So if you do hit someone, like maybe you have to like go for like an early up B, because you think someone is gonna hit you and you're like trying to counterattack with an up B, them flying slightly further away might mean that they are not gonna be able to counterattack you after you land or something, because you have like a little bit of lag when you land with this one. So also minor nerf, or a minor buff, I mean. And the multi-hit is more consistent, so that's good. A lot of multi-hit moves in this game don't really work properly. Like you get like 1 or 2 hits and then they like fall out. So that helps as well, that it works more consistently. That's actually a big theme for Corrin, is that a lot of like multi-hits works more consistently. Same thing on F smash. Like if you charge the F smash, the multi-hits works more consistently. Same thing with down air against floaty-ish characters. So if we actually come back here, Lucina actually might not be the best example here, but if you have someone in the air and you down air them, this is more applied to like puff type of characters, where down air works more consistently than before. So that's also kind of like fixing moves that didn't work properly in the past. So yeah, with down air, F smash, and up B, multi-hits more consistently. So, you know, slight buff. And then pin, you can cancel the pin 2 frames earlier now than before, if I recall correctly. So since pin got nerfed quite a lot from Smash 4, which I personally think the overall idea of nerfing the move is fine, because it was like too much to the character in Smash 4, if you ask me, as someone that mained the character. So I'm happy they toned it down a bit, but they overdid it in this game. So we'll see how much 2 frames actually changes, but it's at least a start. It's at least a start for the character. And then up smash for Corrin is easier to get the strong hit. Yo, Mega Man, thank you for 3 months with Twitch Prime. So if you have someone on the platform, for example, and it's a kind of high platform, it's easier to get the strong hit. So also like minor buff. That's actually like a lot of like patch notes from 3.0 period is like very minor buffs or minor nerfs. So overall, I don't think this character is gonna climb the tier list really. This is like small stuff across the board. If you ask me, what I personally would like to see for the character in the future is to make the character faster. That's the #1 thing I would say. Corrin is not like super slow, but I feel like faster, especially in the air, would make the character much more dangerous in terms of like sharking people when they're trying to come down. Because like, look at this up air. This up air is such a big hitbox. This is an amazing tool, but if you're a little bit faster, it would make it harder to get down. So that would be a cool change to the character. I also feel like down tilt, up tilt should more or less always work. It does work sometimes now, but many times, especially at lower damage, people can air dodge out. So that could also be a cool change for Corrin. Another thing is that grab leads to nothing. You get no true follow-ups from grab with Corrin. It could be cool if you at least got something. Kind of like, you know, with Ike, you can get up air or a fair, for example, from down throw. Something like that could be cool for Corrin. I don't really mind the recovery being pretty weak. I think it's actually pretty good if some characters have weaker recoveries, so they can get edge guarded. To me, they don't really have to buff that. Like, I would still personally probably test out the character more and play the character more if the speed was increased. Make down tilt, up tilt more consistent, and give something to grabbing with the character. That's the main things I personally want to see. But yeah, to wrap it up, not really too significant changes with the character. It was mainly fixing multi-hit moves with the character, and up B invincibility starting earlier. So yeah, that's Corrin's buffs. Do not expect to see this character much in tournaments still, because another thing actually is that, let's say Corrin was equally as good as she is now, but she was a different archetype, like a different type of fighter, you would maybe see the character more, just because the archetype itself is not very common. But when you are the most common archetype, like a sword fighter, and you are not one of the good sword fighters in comparison, then it's kind of like, why would I play Corrin? If you played a character that have very few characters in that archetype, then it's like, you know, it's not that many, you know. But here we have like, what, 20 sword fighters? So it's like, nah, you don't really have any good reason to main Corrin, except for like, oh, I personally enjoy the character the most, which is fine. But she sadly is not worth the effort, if you ask me.